Donald Trump is dialed in right now. During a meeting of governors at the White House, Janet Mills, the Democrat governor from Maine, got toasted by Donald Trump. It's glorious. Here it is.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Okay, so definitely savage. We love to see it, but so much truth in there as well. What he said really wasn't all that inflammatory. It was just true. The Trump administration is the federal government, and it's so funny, I think, to listen to Democrats right now. And they talk, you heard the whole election cycle about how democracy was on the line, how the voters needed to decide, how Republicans, dirty Republicans, especially Donald Trump, was trying to subvert the will of the people. And now that the election is over and we have a new president, they want to subvert the will of the voters because, again, Donald Trump won. I don't care if you want to talk about the Electoral College, which you should talk about because that's how we elect our president, or if you want to be a Democrat and talk about the popular vote, what the majority of Americans voted for. The majority, or I should say a plurality of Americans voted for Donald Trump. So the will of the voters is there. They want him. They want what he has to bring. It doesn't matter if it's 49 or 48%. The fact of the matter is he got more votes than any other candidate. Every accusation for Democrats is a confession. Remember that, guys. That has been like the theme, I swear, of the Democrat Party over the last couple months. If they accuse you of doing something, they have done it, and they're actively doing it at that time. They called Trump a fascist, and they are treating Trump like he isn't president. They're talking about how he doesn't have the right to run his executive branch. And here's the thing, that doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend Trump. They can take it. It's okay. Trump is fine with that. But it offends the voters who voted for Trump. And so what Trump is saying to her about her not getting reelected is absolutely true. Because if you go to Maine right now, for instance, and you poll people, hey, how many of you want men to be in women's sports? That's the policy that she and Donald Trump were talking about in this video. You'd get less than 20%, maybe even less than 10% that would say that they support it. And again, Maine is blue. I mean, purplish blue. And I'd still think it'd be less than 20% that would support it. And so why in the world, this is my question, would she want to overturn that if the majority of her constituents, the people who are going to vote for her, don't even support that? And the reason why is because she doesn't work for the people. She works for her donors and the Democrat establishment. And really with that, what it means, and this is true for many Democrats right now, is they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because on one hand, you need the votes. You have to actually have people like you in order to win elections. But on the other hand, you also need the money and you need the party behind you. And so on this policy, she can't have both. And it turns out most things for Donald Trump right now, you can't have both. You can't have the money and the support of the Democrat Party and the will of the people at the same time, because the will of the people is not supporting the establishment of the Democrat Party. And that's ultimately why Democrats are struggling so hard right now, because the establishment is not in line with the voters. Do you or your partner struggle with snoring or mild sleep apnea? Guys, it is time to take your sleep back with the partner of this show, Snore Medic. As a non-invasive night guard, Snore Medic Plus is designed to relieve snoring and mild sleep apnea, and it's an affordable solution that can restore peaceful nights for both you and your partner. If you're the snorer, you know how frustrating it is to wake up exhausted. And if you're the partner, you're probably sick of nudging them all night. And for those dealing with mild sleep apnea, you know that CPAP machines can be bulky, expensive, and uncomfortable. The Snore Medic Plus is the perfect alternative for that. It's quieter, more comfortable, and way more convenient. And best of all, guys, Snore Medic comes with a 60-night risk-free trial. If you don't love it, you'll get a full refund, no questions asked. Plus, for the listeners of our show, you'll get an extra 10% off for free gifts and free shipping. So go now, join over 20,000 customers worldwide who trust SnoreMedic for better sleep. You can order right now at trysnoremedic.com/JoshCarr to get yours. Again, that is trysnoremedic.com/JoshCarr, or you can go to the link in the description below. There are new lies going around about Donald Trump right now. People are saying that Trump's approval rating is going way down, and they're saying that he is losing it and that he's essentially pushing his agenda too hard, that he's gone too far with what he's doing. And this is simply not true. It is not. I've never been the guy, I'll never be the guy that's going to lie about the polling or the approval numbers, even for people that I like or support, like Donald Trump. If Trump's favorability was low, I would say it, but it's not. Because honestly, guys, and this is the honest truth too about his presidency, his rating will go down throughout his presidency. It happens with all presidents, always. It doesn't matter. But to be clear, it hasn't happened yet. It has not. And I want to show the new wave of polls that came out for Trump because they're very specific on his agenda and what he's doing and how people feel about that. I think it really shows where the heads of the American people are at right now. So without further ado, here's the recent polling that just came out. This is a Harvard-Harris poll, by the way, which tend to be pretty dang left-leaning. So again, I personally like to go to the left-wing polls because then there's just no question of right-wing bias. There's really not. If you want to go to right-wing polls, I'm cool with it. If you want to say his approval rating is even higher, sure. But I'm just saying for now, with the left-wing polls, he's very high. So I think we can feel pretty good about where he's at. In any case, these are the polls. I'm going to read them out loud for those of you who are just listening. The overall approving, and this part's less important or interesting, I would say, but his overall approving right now is 52%, which is a net 9% up from his disapproval rating, which is 43. And just to be clear, 52% is very good. I would say anything above 47% is very good because 47% tends to be where they intersect. And so if you have a net positive as a president, you're doing very good because America is unfortunately very polarized in terms of partisan politics. But underneath that, it talks about the approval that people have for specific parts of Trump's campaign promises, the things that he talked about doing. And I think this is really what tells the whole story. 58% saying he is doing better than Biden. That is really astounding, in my opinion. Because again, 58%, that includes pretty much every single Republican and every single independent. If you're just looking at the numbers, because about 40% of America, maybe a little less, like 35, are Democrats. And so if you're at 58%, that means a huge swath of the population is admitting, again, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to vote Republican, but they're admitting that Trump is better than Biden. The next one is equally as interesting, I think. 81% support deporting criminal aliens. I feel like this one is talked about so much in the media. There's this narrative out there that this is awful, this is so unfeeling, how could you do this? Trump is an awful person. Just to be clear, every time someone on the left goes online or goes on TV and says, you're awful if you want to deport illegal aliens, they're talking about 81% of Americans. Because, and we can't agree on 81% of us can't agree on like anything. And so the fact that much of a majority supports this shows how much it needs to be done. It also shows how out of touch these people are on the left talking about how awful this is, because they don't realize that when they're saying that, they're talking about 81% of the United States. Truly, the majority of people, like the vast super majority of people, are in favor of that. Next up, 76% support eliminating fraud and waste. I don't know who these other 24% are. I don't know who doesn't support eliminating fraud and waste. So that's kind of a weird one. But those are probably the hyper-partisan Democrats. 76% support closing the U.S. border. Again, what are the other 24% doing? I don't know. Those are the hyper-partisans who deep down they do support, eliminating fraud and waste and closing the U.S. border, but they just don't want to say it because they're partisans. 70% support merit-based hiring. That's a very good majority, especially with the disinformation campaign that Democrats have gone on about DEI. The fact that 70% now are saying, no, we're good. We don't want DEI. We want merit-based hiring. I think that's actually really positive for Donald Trump. 61% support reciprocal tariffs. Great. I don't know. Again, I don't know who wouldn't support that. I don't think people really know what tariffs are. And I think for that reason, probably some of them had no opinion. And maybe that's why it's a little bit lower. And then finally, 60% think Doge is helpful, which they most certainly are. And as a lot of conservatives have talked about, Doge is not the end all be all. We're going to need a lot more cuts to make a difference. But people see some of the craziness coming out of them, and they're like, yeah, that's a good thing. Is it going to make a massive fiscal difference in our country? I don't know. I hope so, but I doubt it. We're going to have to reform welfare in order to do that. But at the very least, it is a positive, and it's showing a lot of the corruption that was going on in our country. Here's the deal, guys. You look at those questions. That is the majority of Trump's agenda, folks. And his worst numbers up there are like 58%, 60%, which is very good again. He is doing fine. In fact, he's not doing fine. He's doing really, really well. And so what this means is Trump has to do the things that he has said he's going to do, and he has to do them well. Because if he doesn't, Americans are going to feel betrayed. As you can see from those numbers, the majority of them want these things. If they don't get them, it's going to be really, really, really bad. And if they do, Republicans are going to probably keep the House in 2026, which is considered a political miracle. Again, I'm not positive that's going to happen, but I think the odds are quite good if Trump will deliver on what the American people want. And I think that Republicans will likely win the presidency again come 2028. Well, guys, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship, but when I started the show, I found out really quickly how hard it can be to get started from LLC formation to tax accounting. And that's why I partnered with Jupit. If you guys live in California or Texas, listen up. Jupit helps hardworking entrepreneurs like you guys form LLCs and manage your taxes. Right now, for the listeners of this show, they will form your LLC for free. Yes, guys, completely free. All you have to do is pay the state fees, and Jupit will get your business off on the right foot and then keep it organized with their tax accounting powered by AI. Again, if you guys live in Texas or California, take advantage of this awesome opportunity to finally start your own business. And if you're thinking that sounds really awesome, but you don't live in one of those states, don't worry, because they're going to be expanding to other states every single month, and I'll keep you in the loop for all of that. So again, you can go get started today at jupit.tax, or you can simply go to the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, go down below, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and watch another video.